Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Welcome. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're so grateful to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm happy to talk about the impending manifestation of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So thank you for spotlighting that great occurrence.
You're very welcome. So this will be for a interview. For those who don't know, Devamrita Swami is an initiating spiritual master within ISKCON, a BBT director in Australia and China, and he's in charge of producing these Vaishnav classics for the whole world. So we're very happy to speak about the upcoming book here. Maharaj, our first question is about the strategic vision of this project. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu marks the beginning of a landmark series of Goswami literature published by the BBT, and it will be followed soon by Donna Kali Kaumudi and other books. But given the BBT's legacy of high-quality, authentic translations, enriched by commentaries from revered acharyas, why is this publication strategically significant right now?
Well, first of all, it is the dawning of the first multi-series or multi-volume edition from the BBT since the landmark Brihad Bhagavatamrita in 2002, under the auspices of His Grace Gopi Pranadana Prabhu. He trained up a team, and that team has now followed through with his blessings and tutelage by pairing this exquisite rendition of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now, bear in mind that Srila Prabhupada started his translation and commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He did the first 25 verses. For some reason, he didn't continue. Those of you who have seen the early editions of Back to God magazine produced in India before Prabhupada came to the West, you'll find a serialized translation and commentary of some of the verses of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And the manuscript of his translation and commentary still exists, and we've taken that and begged for his blessings and his mercy that we could follow in his footsteps according to our tiny measure.
Well, thank you so much for that context. Moving into the next question. A lot of devotees are curious about the behind-the-scenes journey of a work like this. We know it requires extraordinary effort to publish such a monumental project. Could you briefly describe the scholarly rigor and the devotional teamwork involved in producing this 5-volume set?
Yes, we've taken the trailblazing rendition of His Holiness Bhanu Swami as a starting point and expanded upon it, turbocharged it, renovated it, and it's taken us almost 10 years of hard work. 10 years. In other words, there's so many cottage industry productions, but we want the BBT standard as evidenced in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which I consider the gold standard for publications after Srila Prabhupada's time on the planet. So, not 8 years, 10 years. Of course, there was an interruption by COVID that affected our staff, but there's also so much effort put into making sure that the Sanskrit and English are super accurate, and that took a lot of work. Let me explain more. You see, in 1970, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada published Nectar of Devotion. And at that time, the ISKCON movement was new, and the devotees were very junior. They didn't know much in 1970. Yet Prabhupada put on their laps this Rasa Sastra, nectar devotion, for them to edit and publish. And they didn't get it right all the time. The editors, the production managers, because nectar devotion is woo, especially the second half. So at that time, these devotees didn't know much about ecstasies and sub-ecstasies and primary rasas, secondary rasas, bhavas and anurag, and the terminologies kind of bewildered them. So we're happy to assist Srila Prabhupada by producing a rigorous rendition of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Would you be willing to share a notable challenge the BBT team encountered while translating and compiling the profound commentaries of the Acharyas?
Yes. Let me read you something from our Sanskrit editors. They prepared a comment carefully and patiently. Our Sanskrit editors, Nityananda Prabhu, and even our production manager is a Sanskritist, Maharshi Prabhu. So they've explained that translating commentaries is often a challenge in itself. Commentarial style of Sanskrit is a language within a language. And one has to be familiar with its conventions and expressions to make sense of what is being explained. Everything about your Sanskrit knowledge is put to the test. Your knowledge of grammar, your knowledge of multiple word meanings, your knowledge of the topic that you're working on. Often, just one word requires to be unpacked into a whole sentence. That's how cryptic the commentaries can be. And then, of course, you have to understand what's actually being explained. For example, sometimes the sentence could be paraphrased by the Acharya, and one may think that that's that. But you take a closer look, and you find that actually the Acharya is clarifying a possible ambiguity, or even clarifying a possible misunderstanding. So no small word is unimportant in the commentaries. Even short words like cha and a p. Whole meanings can hinge upon the correct handling of those small words. It's like in English, the equivalent would be you're saying whole meanings and context depend on and or but. So they continue. This skill is gained only through steady practice of doing this task for a very long time. We have been blessed with the association of His Grace Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu at the Govardhan Sanskrit School, where they made us read Srimad Bhagavatam with its Acharya commentaries for years as a daily practice. Along with learning the technical aspects of Sanskrit, this continuous immersion in the commentary results in developing a subtle intuition, which is much more beyond knowing the endings and word meanings. So this is an example of the rigor that our Sanskritists and English experts are bringing to the table. They work together, and I can speak more about that, how the Sanskritists and the English experts work together to make this publication of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu stand head and shoulders above anything that's come out in the past And I dare say that may come out in the future.
Wow. That gives us a much deeper appreciation of the work behind this project. Thank you, Maharaj. You mentioned you could speak more about it. Would you like to at this time?
Yes, there were challenges. One thing our audience may not understand is that when you're publishing transcendental literature, it is not that the material energy is just going to sit back and say, "Oh, go do it, no problem, no impediments. Let the nectar flow uninhibitedly." No, it's just like any kind of outreach. Anything that is a threat to the kingdom of the illusory energy, there are going to be impediments. So the first one we had to go through was COVID, knocking out our team repeatedly. And then just this month, when we were reaching the grand finale, our production manager and Sanskritist child, 5-year-old child, had to go to the hospital for 2 weeks with some unknown severe symptom. And then our copy editor and indexer, her father passed away. And so these are just examples of impediments thrown in the way by the illusory energy that you're not going to get this book out without a hitch. And of course, we take it as Krishna's mercy. How much do we want this book to appear?
Thank you for that insight, Maharaj. The next area we were hoping to ask about was the personal relevance for devotees. Many devotees today grapple with challenges in the pursuit of genuine fulfillment, a theme that you explored in your book, Hiding an Unnatural Happiness. How does the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu practically guide devotees in navigating these struggles? And if you'd like to share a personal realization or relatable example that especially inspires you.
Let me say, in general, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu takes you to the mountaintop and lets you see what's on the other side. We're begging for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada in the form of nectar of devotion. I don't know how. Now that I have seen 5 volumes impending of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, I can't understand how Srila Prabhupada got a summary study into 1 volume. It's inconceivable to me. And how he managed to get across the fundamental points of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu while using such a neophyte team who basically had no idea what he's talking about. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. So for all of you who, like me, love Nectar of Devotion, I mean, I love that book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu will be a thrill. 5 volumes, around 700 pages each, with a comprehensive index, all kinds of supplementary notes, explanations, enhancements. It'll be a delight for the Shastra connoisseur.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
But let me say what Lord Chaitanya said to Rupa Goswami about what became Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We turn to Chaitanya Charitamrita. What do we find? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Rupa, please listen to me. It is not possible to describe devotional service completely. Therefore, I am just trying to give you a synopsis of the symptoms of devotional service. The ocean of the transcendental mellows of devotional service is so big that no one can estimate its length and breadth. However, just to help you taste it, I am describing but 1 drop." So that was the start of Lord Chaitanya's instruction to Rupa Goswami at Dashashramedha Ghat. And for 10 days, Lord Chaitanya expounded, taking what he had discussed with Ramananda Roy and then presenting it to Rupa Goswami. So at the end of that section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, you find Lord Chaitanya concluding, I have simply given a general survey describing the methods of devotional service. You can consider how to adjust and expand this. And that's how we have Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada so brilliantly summarized in Nectar of Devotion.
Amazing. Do you have a personal example from the early BBT that you'd like to share?
Yes, upon Srila Prabhupada's departure, I thought that would be it for the release of high quality transcendental literature. I remember I was production manager and final copy editor. And upon my desk in November of 77, I received a big envelope from Vrindavan containing chapter 13 of the 10th canto. Brahma Vimohana Leela, Lord Brahma stealing the cows and cowherd boys. I remember reading that and I started crying, knowing I knew this is the last chapter of Bhaktivedanta Purports. And sure enough, a few days later, the message came from India that Srila Prabhupada had departed. So I thought, that's it. We won't see any Shastras anywhere near what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So that's the end of that. But his humble servants, after some time, after some decades, have humbly followed in his footsteps to produce texts, Shastras, that are highly accurate, high quality, Shastras that academics can admire, and they are doing that. Some of them have said to me that if the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust continues putting out editions like Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and we hope they'll say that about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you're going to corner the market on Vaishnav classics. Yeah, I like to hear that. So this is a fulfillment of a dream. Srila Prabhupada wanted his followers to publish books, but how to make sure of the quality? To have the Sanskrit and English departments working together requires a lot of coordination. This is what makes the BBT rendition so distinct. Time invested, the patience, and the teamwork between the Sanskritists and the English experts. So on the Sanskrit side, we have Nityananda Prabhu and Maharshi Prabhu. On the English side, we have Lokaram Prabhu, whose contribution is mighty. He works hand in glove with the Sanskrit department. And we have our indexer, so crucial. A book without a good index, not so helpful. Our indexer is expert, and she's also the copy editor. So in this way, we put together a powerful team for begging for Prabhupada's mercy to publish these books.
Thank you, Maharaj. You mentioned the ever-expanding ocean of devotional service. And looking back at the books that you've already published, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and the ones that are upcoming after Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, can you tell us a little bit about the spiritual insights or unique treasures that devotees can look forward to in these upcoming projects?
They can look forward to their devotional service expanding, because the more you hear about devotional service, which is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the more your appetite increases. And we want our appetite to increase to the point of lolyam, greed, which is a rare spiritual state. But as I said, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu takes you to the mountaintop and lets you see what's on the other side. So it helps you to keep your eyes on the prize. Yes, we need to understand we're not the body, but after that, then what?
You have time for another question, Maharaj?
Sure.
We were curious about the relevance for the younger generation. Younger devotees today are deeply influenced by contemporary culture and ideas. How do these upcoming Goswami books specifically inspire and resonate with the newer generations within ISKCON, helping them to develop a lasting taste and enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness?
For anyone to go the distance in bhakti, you need to be aware of Krishna's unlimited attractiveness and the depth of devotional service to Krishna. The more you hear, the more your appetite increases. So whether you're young or old, a new devotee or old devotee, you need to know what's there in the relishing phase. There's the therapeutic stage of bhakti, and then there's the relishing phase. So we need to know how to properly go through the therapeutic stage and go into the relishing stage in an authorized way. Because, as Prabhupada would like to say, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, nectar devotion, is about the techniques of devotional service. You might say applied spiritual technology. So that's very important for our younger ones. Of course, first you should master Prabhupada's books. Well, you can't really master them, but first you should be well grounded in Prabhupada's books. That's the main meal. Let's make no mistake about it. But once you have feasted on the main meal, then you have these supplementary texts to add further delight to your life. So looking ahead, you were talking about future publications. Yes, looking ahead, we have Donna Haley Komudi. We have Lalita Madhava, Vidagdha Madhava. These three works will form a set of Rupa Goswami's dramas. And in this way, through high quality translations, you can enter into Rupa Goswami's divine empowerment. These works are not easy to do, to render, because there's so much double talk going on between Krishna and his associates. Word plays on words, words with double meanings. So much, not simply eye glances going on, sidelong glances, but plays on words about, do you want me or do you not? So our commentaries will explain all the double talk, all the turns of events, all the double meanings, and that will be very helpful for the reader. Our commentaries will be navigational. In the preceding verse, this is what is meant, and now in the next verse, this is what will come. We're all about giving help to the reader. So there's also texts by Bhaktivinoda Thakur coming, especially Jaiva Dharma. And then the Sandarbhas. We want a BBT rendition of the Sandarbhas, and that's not an easy task. We have the renowned ISKCON scholar, Radhika Raman, whose Oxford PhD thesis was on Paramatma Sandarbha. He's currently working right now on Paramatma Sandarbha. We also have the Bhagavat Sandarbha. We need more work on that. We don't just put books out there, get them out, get them on into Lowy Bazaar where devotees can buy them. Never mind the quality, never mind the accuracy. Get it out there before someone else does. No, we want to give the best. legacy editions that stand head and shoulders above anything else in the marketplace.
Thank you for that perspective, Maharaj. We're very much looking forward to all of these works. Would you have any final thoughts or remarks you'd like to share with the devotees who are looking forward to this new book?
Yes, it'll be a 5-volume set and so much reader explanatory information, massive index, comprehensive index for your reading pleasure and reference pleasure. And it will have, of course, the commentaries by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because we went into his Chaitanya Charitamrita and took out all the commentaries that he did on verses from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and we put them in the BBT Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then, of course, as I explained in the beginning, the 25 verses and commentaries by Srila Prabhupada. All of that will be in these 5 volumes.
It sounds amazing. So comprehensive. Thank you for your work in this matter and for taking your valuable time to speak with us today.
Well, we thank you for your interest, and please, with all of the listeners, viewers, please help us through any last-minute impediments that the material energy may throw in our way. That's a fact of life in the material world, but we're nearing the finish line, and we're hoping to serve you all in the best way by providing such top quality, wonderful Shastras. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.